Hey, it is Kenny from Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel, as I really appreciate it. In this video, I'm going to do a comparison of the Miles Davis Miles Smiles record. Do a comparison between an LP, two SACDs, a Blue Spec CD, and just a standard CD. Before I get started, and I know that I said this in some of my other videos, but I have to mention it here because there might be some people who haven't seen me before yet. And it's a disclaimer about the digital CDs and SACDs, and that a lot of people think, like I said in my other videos, that they're snake oil, and that digital is digital. But here's how I feel about that. Until we get the exact same mastering engineer doing the mastering process from a source as close to the master tape as possible, and then this exact same mastering engineer does the mastering into these various formats, whether CD, SACD, or whatever it may be, and then we can do the comparison. Until we have that type of experiment, I don't think we'll ever know the true difference of these different digital mediums. It's quite possible that there's a very little difference. It's quite possible there's a huge difference. It's quite possible there's a difference, but it's so slight, it will be difficult to discern. But until then, we'll never know. Also, I like to bring out something else, in that these things are subjective in terms of our listening experiences. We all have personal opinions about what should sound good. In other words, if I were to play something, various songs from a certain source, and we have 10 people in here listening to it, we might get 10 different answers in terms of what is best. Here's an analogy, the best I can think of. If we all went into an art gallery, 10 of us, and we had to choose the best piece of work, the best piece of art, we will all choose probably something different. If we would line up, in this example, I have 4 digital sources in the LP, so that's 5 different sources. If we were to line up 5 different women, okay, various different looks and styles and stuff, and you would bring 10 guys in there and say, assess their beauty from the best looking to the last, we will probably get 10 different answers. So it's a matter of personal opinion and personal perspective. There's really not a right or wrong answer. It's just a difference of opinion. We all have differences in terms of what we think sounds good. So we have to keep that in mind when we do these little comparisons. Also, I would like to point out the equipment sources I'm using, just in case you're curious. I have what I like to call a mid-fi system. It's really, really good, but I will put it in the mid-fi category. Now, my turntable is a Riga P8 turntable with a Feta 3 cartridge. The phono stage is a West, that's W-H-E-S-T, 0.20 phono stage. A West W-H-E-S-T, 0.20 phono stage. My digital chain is a Luxman DA06 DA converter and a Sony XA9000ES Super Audio CD player. So, and I'm going to show you briefly the sources I'm going to be comparing, and I'll get into my personal assessment in terms of what sounds best for me. And also, I'd like to point out that when doing this little comparison, I was looking for certain details on certain songs, and I would like to quickly point that out to you right now. If I could, I got to go to glasses, sorry. Like, for example, in Orbits, I was listening for the detail on Miles' trumpet near or around the center of the sound stage. In that same song, the realism of Wayne Shorter's saxophone and Herbie Hancock's piano coming from the left speaker on the song Orbits. Also, on the right speaker, the constant plucking of Ron Carter's bass near the center of the sound stage, almost like he's keeping a a constant beat for the band. I was looking for those details and how they vary from each source, whether CD, LP, or SACD, and which sounded the best. In Circles, I was listening for the playing of Tony Williams' drums in the right speaker and how well defined that was. I was listening for Miles Davis and Wayne Shorter, their play around the center of the soundstage in Circles in that song. I was looking for certain instruments and certain locations and the detail of those instruments. In the same song, I was listening for what I have here, Herbie Hancock's solo in the left speaker. When he does a solo on the song Circles in the left speaker, I was listening closely to the detail of that solo in each one of these different mediums. In Footprints, I was listening for the detail of Tony Williams' drums in the right speaker, the fine sound of when his drumsticks hit the cymbals. I was listening very closely, as best I could, for that detail. And also how well Herbie Hancock and Ron Carter were coming from the left speaker. Again, the detail of their instruments. So I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I came up with a personal opinion. Like I said, yours may vary from mine, but this is just mine, what I call my mid-fi system that I just described to you. Also, we have to keep in mind, also the results of these comparisons, and I say this in all my videos, are system dependent, system setup dependent, ear dependent. We all have different ear sets. And also personal opinion dependent. We have to keep that in mind. So I know you, a lot of you out there have these, and you may want to leave your comments in the comment section below. And also, there's some I don't have of this particular album of Miles Davis. So the ones that I don't have, maybe some of you viewers out there can mention your experiences with those particular mediums as well. For example, I think MoFi may have come out with this album, Miles Smiles, on LP. I'm not sure, but they may have. So those of you who may have it, if it exists, maybe you can leave your comments in the comment section below. This is the LP that I'm using during this test. This is a label. This is the standard CD that I believe came out in 1998 of Miles Smiles. This is the Mobile Fidelity Master Recordings SACD. This is a Sony release on SACD of Miles Smiles. And this is a Blue Spec CD. The same album. Now, these were my findings, and like I said, opinions will vary. And these are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start from the fifth place all the way to first. And none of these were bad, by the way. I wouldn't really consider them bad. None of them. It's just my personal assessment on my system. Coming in 5th place was the original Master Recordings version of Miles Smiles. It's not bad, it's just I did not prefer it over the other versions of it. This one, it was not as detailed as the ones above it. The volume is lower. That didn't bother me. Because you can adjust the volume. It just, I didn't get the same detail that I got over the 4 above it. It was lacking in detail to me, although it sounded fine. The other ones were just a tad better. Like I said, none of these were bad, but the others are just a tad better. In 4th place is the standard CD. Now, this, to my ear, sounds fine. It's not bad or anything. Especially when I play it through my DAC, because my outboard DAC, my Luxman DA06, is a bit better than the DAC inside my Super Audio player, which is a Sony XA9000ES. When I play things through my DAC, the sound improves, and you can hear the difference in the sound from the DAC to the SACD player. But I would put the standard CD at 4. Like I said, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds really good through my DAC. Now, it has more detail to me than the mobile fidelity version. It just does. Now, these right here, the SACD and this Blue Spec CD, I have to explain something. Because these are like 2A and 2B. Because when I listen to the SACD and the Blue Spec CD through my Sony XA9000ES Super Audio CD player, I will give the SACD a slight edge. But here's the thing. When I listen to the Blue Spec CD through my DAC, I give the Blue Spec CD a slight edge. I cannot listen to the SACD through my DAC because my SACD doesn't have an output for SACDs to go to my DAC. It just has an output for standard CDs to go to my DAC. So I'm going to give these a tie because I think if I were to play this SACD through my DAC, it will probably be on the same footing as a Blue Spec CD. So I'm going to give them a tie. What comes in first is the LP. It's more detailed. It's more defined. I can hear the detail of Tony Williams' drumstick when it hits a cymbal better. You know, it's more three-dimensional to my ears. You know, I hear Miles Davis and Tony Williams, Ron Carter, you know, Wayne Shorter better in a three-dimensional space. And it's more, you can hear the detail when you go through this analog source versus all of the digital sources. Matter of fact, I had my wife in the room just as an experiment, and I had her listen to a short segment of the LP and 2 of the SACD sources, the Sony SACD and the Mobile Fidelity SACD. And she had the same order as me, and I didn't even tell her my preference before I had her listen to it. She chose the the LP first, the Sony SACD second, and the Mobile Fidelity SACD third. That was her ranking, and it matched mine. Now, we've had disagreements before on sound. Matter of fact, if you look at my Sergio Mendes Mobile Fidelity LP shootout with versus a standard shootout, I think that's the one. Me and my wife disagreed on that one, but we agree on this one. So, in summary, the LP sounds more realistic, more lifelike, more three-dimensional than all of the analog digital sources. Not by a mile, but it does. And then, like I said, second is a tie between the Blue Spec, the Sony Blue Spec, and the Sony SACD. And fourth, the standard CD. And fifth, the Mobile Fidelity SACD. So if I wanted to listen to this album in its most grand and more pleasurable form or format, it will be the LP on my system. What is your opinion? And if you have some sources that I did not, include in this test or comparison, because this is all I have of this particular pressing, please leave your experiences in your comments in the comments section below. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. I always appreciate it. God bless, love, peace to all.